Hello, this is Pastor John on a Monday, the beginning of a work week. Godspeed to all of you who are heading into work or who have a lot of things to accomplish this week at work, whether it's from home or, like I said, going into work. Wanted to just give you a few thoughts that came to mind as I read a devotional just recently here. And it just impressed me in regard to worship. We as a church have not been able to come together or gather together to worship physically together for months now. And it is really a challenge to many of you. I'm hearing it, and my heart goes out to you. My heart goes out to all of our members who are just dying to get back into to church and to worship together. And that is coming soon. We're starting to see a little bit of a dip that we looked for in the coronavirus hospitalizations here in the county of Maricopa. And as we voted as a board to make sure that as we're looking at that, once we see a 25% drop or dip in hospitalizations, that we will then reopen, of course, with safety protocols and everything else in place. But my prayer is that that time is coming soon. It looks like things are hopeful here, that they're heading the right direction. So I'm praising the Lord for that after a very challenging spike here in Arizona. But in regard to worship here, we want to worship together. But you know, worship isn't just at church. In fact, all of us know that if the only thing we're doing, if the only worship that takes place in our lives is once a week at church on Sabbath, it is not going to carry us and strengthen us spiritually to be able to stand and to be strong in our faith and our walk with God. So we need to make sure that we're worshiping at home as well. And that happens, you'll find throughout the Bible, morning worship, evening worship. Morning praise, evening praise. Thanks in the morning, thanks. Just over and over again, morning, evening. Morning probably even more than evening. But the people of God would gather their families together to worship every morning and every evening, asking for the Lord's blessing and for Him to help them through that day, whatever lied ahead. And the angels of God, of course, would take those prayers, bring them before the throne of God, mixed with the righteousness of Christ as seen on that altar of incense in the heavenly sanctuary, the smoke that's the righteousness of Christ with the saints mixed with that, and their prayers were answered. And we need that experience in our homes. We don't live in tents anymore. We've got homes, but this same experience can happen there as well and needs to happen. I want to encourage you to not let the circumstances of life today alter your worship time. And if you haven't had a consistent worship time, I pray, I urge you, create that worship time. When is it going to be? Morning and evening when the family comes together, or when you and your spouse come together, or if you're alone, when is that time that you're spending with the Lord? And pour your heart out to Him and read from His Word and pray. That is so necessary in our lives every day to worship at home. There was a statement that Ellen White made in one devotional I was reading here not too long ago, and I love this. Listen to this. When we have good home religion, we will have excellent meeting religion. So when God's people have good religion in their homes, when they're praying at home, when they're reading the Word at home, when they're gathering their people together to worship at home, then worship when we meet together is so much more meaningful. We know that. We've all been challenged by that. Sabbath morning when we get up and get our kids ready or our families ready or even our spouse together to go to church, the devil always tries hard to get us off track. He does it every day, in fact, with our worship schedule. So don't let him win in that. The battle is fought at home. The battle is fought in our families, because when that one is won, then everything we do when we come together is so much more meaningful. So I want to just encourage you, get back to worship at home. That consistent time of fellowship with your family, with your spouse, maybe with your friends, and make sure that that time is uninterrupted, that God is promising to meet you there. Know that. And that He will give you the strength that you need to make it through each day of life. God bless you, and may you have a terrific week.